recording is... Okay, hello everybody. Today is the 27th of February 2002 here in Europe, and it's I don't know which number meeting, probably 98 or 99. We're nearly at 100. We'll have to correct that at some stage. We're without Hugh, as you all know. We're going to talk about this, and first Gary wants to communicate some information. So, Gary, your turn.
Thanks. Okay. What's happened is that since Hugh has left us, that it's we've been trying to contact anybody who might have known Hugh, his friends, of course, in order to tell them what's happened. And in the process of doing that, quite a few people have come sort of that weren't generally known have come out of the woodwork, so to speak. What I mean is, like, people who are regularly attending the meetings and on Reddit or Discord and that kind of thing. Apparently, there's been quite a few people that Hugh has been in extensive communication with privately, and who haven't shown up on any of these things that I just mentioned. Now, as part of that process, we got back in contact with somebody that Hugh had been trying to do a project with quite a few months ago. And some of you may have heard of a person called Faulty and know what this story is about. And at this point, I would ask everybody, please, from this point on until further notice, we're not going to be using anybody's real name in regard to this. If anybody knows what Faulty is and all the rest of it, that little project may still be redeemable. And so from this point on, it's kind of under a code of absolute discretion, as they use that term in that film, the Latitude Society, or it might have been the other one, the Inbright Axiom, if anyone has seen that. Okay, so as a result of Mr. Faulty being back in contact, well, how I'll put it, it's two ways to put it. Hugh had assumed that particular project was not going to go ahead because he didn't get recontacted about it, and he just assumed that for whatever reason, it wasn't going to start. It appears that what had happened was that both Faulty and Hugh were both waiting for each other to get in contact with each other, and so nothing happened. And that Faulty is still very interested in doing this. We've had a preliminary contact with him and explained that the conditions now are absolutely not as favourable as they were at the time that the original contact was being made, for a whole stack of reasons. Of course, the major one being that Hugh isn't here. He's still interested in having a meeting with us. Sophie and I will be meeting personally, or not personally, we'll be meeting, in a private call with him and Blondie, if anyone also knows who Blondie is. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing that. Now, between now and when Sophie and I have this meeting, what I'm suggesting to everybody on this call and everybody on the Western call and just anybody and everybody associated with the Extinctionati and Hugh is in order for this little thing, idea, project, whatever you want to call it, faulty to go ahead, we need expertise, people with genuine workable expertise who are willing to help. And I'll just how will I do this now? If you can just bear with me for a moment, I just want to make sure that I'm giving you a coherent story, that's all. Sure. Okay. So if you cast your minds back, for those who know about it, you can remember that we were trying to get into contact. We first got into contact with a fellow called Spencer McCall, who was the producer or director of that film In Bright Axiom. He was going to be the gateway, the contact point to get us in contact with a man called Jeff Hull, who was the kind of, I guess you could call him, the sort of alternative reality game mastermind. That failed. We did not get in contact with Jeff Hull, and that's been a very big disappointment. And we could go into the details, but that might be a bit of a diversion to go into that. I'll try and stick with the point. So, in the absence of somebody like Jeff Hull, if this thing is going to go ahead, we need to find anybody within the Extinctionati and Friends of Hugh who may have expertise in that regard. And I'm looking at anybody who's listening to this who has known Hugh and been in close contact with him, or has followed us closely, or anything like that, anybody like that who's familiar with the discussions that we've had about faulty and all the rest of it. If you have serious skills regarding constructing an arc, the geodo thing that Hugh created, and I would say probably, knowledge of how to construct original software for an ARG and this kind of thing. I'm not actually at all capable of defining this accurately because I simply don't have the background understanding of it sufficiently. I can only just give you that general description. Now, just a moment. I'll just gather my thoughts again so that we don't miss any important points. Okay, what I want to do here is just take a little diversion and refer to the recent interview that we did with Susan Breen from Deep Green Resistance. And I imagine that some of you may have seen that. And probably some of you also have got familiarity with Deep Green Resistance from the publications and from Derek and Lear and Max, which I actually have never gone into very deeply. But one thing that was clear from the interview with Susan is that Deep Green, that one of the interpretations of that word deep is deep. In other words, like as in deep state deep, in other words, they're doing things which there is a surface organisation and that there's quite likely to be other stuff going on behind the scenes, but the principle that applies is the principle of the old television show Hogan's Heroes, if anyone knows that, with Sergeant Schultz. As soon as he's confronted with any information, I know nothing, I know nothing, I know nothing. Okay, and that's basically what I think the principle of Deep Green Resistance operates under, is that there's a public aspect of them who do their little thing, and there is also some other people somewhere else that they know absolutely nothing else of, and they know nothing, but somehow or another things probably happen for them. And I'd just like to just emphasize that I think that's the way we should be viewing this little project with Faulty, is with the kind of view that if you know something, if you know something, well, you don't know it, or just be part of the group that's operating directly with him, and it's kept within that. And because it's going to be really, if we're helping them with it, it's going to be Faulty's sort of responsibility and basically to do with his organisation. And we're going to have to not place his place his privacy at risk. So that's that part of it. The next thing is that just in regard to Faulty re-emerging and the possibility of this project reigniting, is that personally I'm looking at this as possibly our swan song for Hugh. In other words, it was something that he worked at for a long time and had put a great deal of hope. Maybe hope is not the right word to use, but anyway, he was very keen on this, and it seemed to fail, to not go anywhere. And I think that part of a tribute to Hugh from us would be to make an attempt to get this started again. So it's got that part of that side to it as well. For us personally, who are being associated with you. Just to note, I think I just said it. I won't personally be part of this project. I simply just don't have whatever. I don't have the grasp of the technical requirements, or the understand. My understanding is not sufficient. I really just want to just get this kicked off and then retire from it. So basically, yeah, what I'm proposing, I'll just say it again, just to close, I guess, is anyone listening to this who knows about the Faulty project, or who is completely got a grasp on what the alternative reality game thing concept is, on what the Geodo concept is, and or who is also software savvy to a reasonably high degree, I would imagine. If you would like to help, and I imagine it will be a commitment to work with Mr. Faulty for a certain period of time until he can stand on his own feet, and he's got his own people as well. We're hoping he will bring into this. So if you people can, I can't judge you or select you or interview you or do anything like that. What I'm hoping is that if one or two of you, if you can self-identify amongst yourselves, form a group amongst yourselves and self-select amongst yourselves as to who is interested in this and wants to do it. And I guess, ideally we might be looking at like 4 people or something like that who might be, we don't want a crowd, and we certainly need more than one, put it that way. If you can, put up something on the email group, if you're on the email group, say something on these meetings or on the Discord. Please, if you're one of those people and you're interested in this and you want to pursue it, and you're sure that you have the sufficient skills, get together. The only other option is for anyone interested, to contact, say, me or Sophie or Michael. That's still an option, but the problem there is it means that we're going to be replying over and over again to multiple people. We're already exhausted from this current thing, just dealing with Hugh passing, just personally, I don't want to be dealing with multiple individual replies to individual people when there's hope that they can just that if a group emerges, that I'll just talk to them once as a group, and then we'll introduce them to Faulty, and then just they can take it from there, and that will then be firewalled off, I imagine, from the rest of the Extinctionati, that we won't know about it. And I would just hope that it works very nicely, and maybe they will get back to us if there's things on the surface that can be done by the rest of us, you know. Um, uh, I think that's about all I can say about it. Um, Again, I do feel it's important just to emphasize that we don't use anybody's real name, until further notice, and that this, I'm just borrowing that term from the film. We're conducting ourselves under a code of absolute discretion regarding this. Um, um, and I guess just leave it at that. And if anybody is, uh, you know, not able to help with this, but can just make sure that anybody else they know is aware of it, who might not be on the meeting or who might not be on the mailing list, but just if they think there's somebody, um, with sufficient skills. So uh, I think that's about all I need to say. I'll leave it at that. If anyone's got a question or whatever.
Gary, I don't know if you remember, but I've got a document here that I printed around 27th of June, and it was the background to the alternate reality gaming
That's right.
concept, and
That's correct.
that
Yep.
was posted to Faulty, but I think we could revive that, and maybe I'll add it to the mailing list.
I think can
Send.
we make it available to anybody who's interested in joining this little group that
Yeah,
I'm describing?
yeah. I'll have to
Uh,
dig out where it was. I think it was posted. It was an email, I think. So it will be.
I can send it to you in digital form if you want. I've got it
Yeah, that would
in
be
digital.
handy because I'm
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
messy that way.
Okay. Yeah. So I think initially, um, because I asked Hugh about that at the time, when he produced that document, I think this was after the project had died, and I said, um, is this still going to be a private document? And I think at that stage he said no. He said, oh, look, you might as well distribute it, because he didn't think there was any further hope. But I think we might just go back to the original plan, which is just amongst the people who are expressing an interest, and take it. We can always expand the distribution later, but if we go for wide distribution now, I don't know how I don't know. I'm not here to dictate terms on this, So I mean, if anyone, if you disagree with me or whatever, well, I'm
Well,
just making a suggestion.
one of the things I'm wondering though is to make some kind of like focal point maybe where those type of people can get together, maybe a post. I'm not quite sure like how to do it with discretion on the internet, but like in Hugh's um, fractal theory of evolution, the focal points of attraction and whatnot. So
Yeah,
we should put something where or some kind of area where those people, whoever they are, with those skills, can get together and start, sorting themselves if they want to take this project up and get
yeah.
together. But I'm not sure like
Okay.
how
Yeah,
you.
no, absolutely. I agree. That I was just hoping that if one or two come forward, they can just do that for themselves and establish the group within themselves. Is there anyone who would like to create a point of contact for these people, like for instance on Discord or I don't know where? I wasn't quite sure how to do it. I didn't think the email group was a good idea because not unless it's just an email group between those people. I don't think it's for. They may want to talk about things which aren't for general consumption. Um,
Well,
to
it could be.
personal things.
It could be a time to revive XR Med for that, or and maybe
But it's still public. It's still
right,
public.
right, yeah. So Discord,
Yeah.
Discord seems the best.
Mm.
Mm.
Okay. So what is it? Can anyone create a Discord point?
I think we should leave that to the people who come up together
That's
to.
what I thought. I think if
They would
somebody
like
comes,
people who have
yeah,
got skills like that personally I don't have either, will probably find the right platform for themselves. You know, especially if it's an ARG, it's going to have to be. Now, before we go to another part, the email group. Okay, I'm going to send the doc. When you send me the document, Gary, of the background that was actually addressed to Faulty at the start. It was
yeah,
done.
that's right. Yeah,
I will
yeah.
send it on the email group. But who is on? I mean, who is anybody who's not on the email group? Please, who's be interested to be on the email group, let me know, or because I have about 15 people on the email group, and anybody who wants to be, who doesn't want to be, contact me through Reddit or whatever you want, if you have my email, to let me know. Okay?
Okay. So, is anyone want to just if anyone's got a question about what I've just spoken about, or want to follow it up just for a few minutes, otherwise, otherwise, yeah, go on.
Should a post on the Extinctionati Reddit be made regarding this suggestion? For this plan of finding people that could take up the ARG and be puppet masters. I would, but I don't know how to word it right. I don't know if I can use words that are discreet enough. So I'm not sure if I can make the post. So I'm wondering, like, how do we make this
Yeah,
post to attract those people? So I'm a little bit blunt and dense.
yeah. I felt that we would announce it at this meeting and at the Western meeting and to the email list, but because Reddit is public, well, I suppose this ends up being public too. I don't know. What's everybody's thought on that?
Well,
Just put it discreet.
we are posting our meetings to Reddit.
Yeah.
So this meeting is going to
No,
be.
but I think what DB is saying is should we put a notice on Reddit about what I've just said? Just worded discreetly that we're anybody who's interested, or just keep it amongst the mailing list and the meetings. Don't do it. Don't
Well,
disseminate it any
there's a
further.
big audience of people who are listening to the videos. Now they're not
Mm,
going to be uploaded to YouTube for a while. It's still on Odyssey, I suppose, but still, I don't know, Mike, but I think you do post them also on. Well, it was Hugh who used to do it, but you post them to Reddit too, don't you? So I think all the
well,
people who follow the meetings that we have, the big crowd there, that we don't really need to make a formal announcement, because if they're really listening
no.
to the
Well,
videos,
see,
you know.
the other side of this, Sophie, is should we just completely edit out this first section of the meeting and not have that put up publicly? That this first section of the meeting is just for the people who obviously are close to Hugh and very sort of uh, involved, and then just don't put it out there public. It's just for the sort of people who are already involved, and just start this meeting from whenever I finish now.
Mike, can you do that? I don't have an opinion
Yeah.
on whether it should be
Um,
cut off or not, but can you do it if we decide?
Let me see what everyone thinks, because right now all the meetings I've only posted up until um just the interviews, but I haven't posted our because someone asked to keep that I think one of the meetings private from last week, and then I could keep it, or not really private, it's unlisted, which means that the public won't view it, only people who have the link to the video. So that's what I've been
Mm,
doing. I can do the same. Just whoever has the link to this video will be able to see it. Yeah.
I think you're right. And I see Mr. McKee has written, I would err on the side of discretion to begin with.
Okay.
If it doesn't gain any traction after a while, you can go more public.
Later. Yeah.
Yeah,
Can do that.
yeah.
So I'll post this video and just give you the link. Yeah. And share it to whoever, trusted people or whoever would be interested. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a bit of a dilemma because, you know, at some stage something has to be said somewhere, you know.
Right.
And I frankly have no idea how much discretion is necessary. Maybe none, maybe a lot. You just don't know, you know.
But at the moment, we can't post anything on Hugh's channel on YouTube. Is it right, Mike?
I think I can post after. It was after a week.
A week, yeah. So nothing stops us in a week to put a little video saying, you know, the news that we've got and the fact that the meetings would resume shortly, you know, and just so that all the followers, because there's quite a few people who have only followed Hughes and our meetings on YouTube, who are not on Reddit or not on the mailing list or whatever. So we could do that as soon as we can upload on YouTube, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's use this. We have gained and over 100 new members.
Yeah.
I suspect quite a few are ghouls.
Ghouls.
Wow.
Yeah, you've noticed that there has been a jump on the Reddit followers and even some subscribers too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right then. Yeah, I mean, just in closing, just regarding, just regarding what I've said, if people are interested in this, I think this is something that needs to be done sooner rather than later. And as I've said, we've got a meeting coming up with this man in 2 weeks' time. So that's just a bit of a time frame to start with. So yeah, okay. Well, I'll leave it at that. And if you don't mind, I'd like to leave the meeting now because there's been a lot going on, and I think it's just personally, it's enough, you know. So I'll say goodbye then. Thanks very much, everyone.
All right, take care, Gary.
Okay.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, Gary.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay. All right. So, second part of the meeting. We're going to talk about Hugh. His absences felt very heavily there today. Again. So, Mike, you wanted. What exactly did you want? Because I kind of don't remember. Last week, we didn't give much news, did we? Or did we just talk about our reaction?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out because we're still at trying to see if when we should go public or have a public announcement for Hugh, or if this I was thinking, should this video be a public announcement? But after Gary's
public announcement. There's been a lot of them because really on Reddit and Discord for the people who follow the Extinctionati, it's been clearly put that he passed away. Now, we've had private emails between us and very interesting ones, I must say, commenting on the events. But at this stage, we're going to have to move forward to grieving and accepting that a big part of our work and our life is missing at the moment. So, I mean, I have no problems in going quickly on the timeline of events so that people can understand what we went through a bit, because we didn't know for a long time what was happening. All the rest, I think the details belong to the family and, you know, to history really, because we will never know exactly everything, you know. Not hiding anything. It's just, it's a combination of so many things. So Do you want me to just go through the timeline again?
You know what? I think we can just leave it be. Actually, it's fine because I don't think this is gonna go public after that
Yeah.
first section. So don't
Yeah,
worry
you're
about
right.
it.
You're right. Actually,
Don't
yeah,
worry.
you're right. Yeah.
I'll
You're right there because we all know the people
yeah,
on this meeting
all the people on
probably
this
do.
meeting
If you have
know.
any questions, well, I'm happy to answer any question. But
Are you
Yeah.
talking about like making a recording disclosing this information to put on Hugh's YouTube channel? You might want to do it in like a video format where one of us has all the information and then goes over it like discreetly, letting everyone know that was watching his YouTube channel, and then keep it
Yeah.
brief and simple, and then go with that instead of uploading a whole meeting.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good idea. Let's go for that. Yeah.
we'd want to find somebody who is good in front of the camera and who can just word it very well, and that could be another call to somebody who would like to do this. I don't really feel I don't know. I don't feel I'd like to do it myself. I could ask Gary, Mike, but anyone else who'd be prepared to just. It could be a 5-minute, 10-minute thing. Wouldn't have to be a big long thing, but it would be on the no escape, which we will have access to
Right.
in a week. So if
Yeah.
somebody wants to come forward and record himself and send the video to me or Mike actually, because you can upload them, can you?
Yeah. I could upload it to his channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll yeah, that's fine.
All right. So from here we're
So for me,
missing somebody who's taking the show over, who's talking all the time, and who's you can't put a word in the conversation. Now the silence is there, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to figure out where we can go. A lot has happened since he passed, right? The Ukraine, I'm sure everyone knows about what's going on in Ukraine. He would have a lot to say about that. Yeah, so
The last thing Gary was talking about before he left, though, was saying that he would prefer us to move quickly to get this focal point made to hopefully clusters people who could be puppet masters. So, I mean, I'm not sure how we should go about this. But if Sophie and Gary are having a meeting with Faulty in a couple of weeks, we don't have very much time. So we should probably make some kind of Reddit post, put something on Discord, like put some kind of signals out there with discretion, because yeah, people have to have like a Batman signal to respond to it. So
Yeah, it's true. And what would be interesting to talk about, I mean, we have the meeting on the 13th of March. That's what Gary told me. I didn't get any contact with Faulty. But then he hopes at that time there will be enough people who will come forward to be puppet masters. That's just maybe, we don't know. But we still have to, we mustn't forget that among ourselves, there's not many people can be like that. So we have still a lot of things to plan for the future for ourselves and as a group, and not plan, but continue on, and maybe just the flippening, psychological
yeah,
preparation. I mean, the meetings, you see, Hugh used to say that it was not the content of the meetings that was important. It was what was happening during the meeting between us. He used to say to leave everything behind at the end of the meeting, and what had happened in the present. And I think that's, maybe Gary wants to do a tribute to Hugh through the arc, but I think we owe it to him to try to continue to keep this connection between ourselves that happens every Sunday, to move to a direction of our own that won't be as inspired by Hugh, but will be still our own little thing. You know, I'm sorry, maybe I'm not wording this very well. Forgive me, because I'm not fully bilingual, but I hope you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I think just continue on the spirit of what Hugh started, right? He brought all of us here, and now it's kind of like I saw it as a way, since Hugh left, there's something each of us, he put out so much content in YouTube, through his writing on Reddit, in XRMed and Extinctionati, got Gyrate Reset. There's so much in there that any one of us, I'm sure there's something in there that we can take, that we can expand upon. Hugh, the special thing about him is he was able to synthesize all of these, but maybe for us, we can take one piece of that and make it our own project. I don't know. I just see it as, because there's so much that each member can really take it and make it their own. So yeah, whether it be mutualism, there's just so much. The last meetings he talked about info energy, magic. Oh yeah, that's just what comes to my mind. But there's something that I know any one of us can take a piece of his work and make it, yeah, expand upon it.
That's how we could start the future meetings, is coming back to the old agenda idea that we kind of dropped a little bit along the way, because you used to improvise and start up on a subject and then expand. We could come back to agendas, picking, as you said, through this rich content, because there's a lot of things that we didn't develop um, much, as you said, the info energy subject, the woo stuff. Now, a lot of things, I was like a student listening there. I was kind of discovering stuff where, as you was explaining and giving references to videos and books, and myself, I've got some books there. I'm starting to read about this, but I'm completely unable to expand on that. But I'm sure there are people out there, and we particularly got a very interesting email on the mailing list recently, a lot of us, about someone who had been in extended contact with you, who would have a lot of input in where I hope that person, I don't know if he's there today, or he might come to the Western meeting, would come out a bit, because he seems to have dug into this very much. Because we did have a speaker. Those meetings we had were not just only exchange. We had a speaker. We'd ask questions, we'd intervene, but we were really a bit like on a lecture, and also other things were happening. There was a form of psychological preparation that was happening. I don't know if you felt it, but I felt extremely energized by the meetings and every encounter I had with Hugh. So it was part of a process of personal development. I hate that word, but it was just a bit that, you know.
Yeah, it made sense. Every meeting was there's something you could take out of it, and actually, after Hugh passed, I was like a madman listening to his content again, going from the last video, and then I went, okay, 90, 91, and then, okay, next week I'll do, or maybe tomorrow I'll start at 80, and just re-listening, and just, there's so much I got out of listening it to again. And then, yeah, it just, I'm sure everyone can, has their own experience, but there's just a lot that I got out of his videos. And actually, recently, he always calls, when we had the meetings, he'd talk about experiences he had in LA, like the recent one, he talked about Magic Castle, he talked about Devil's Canyon. And in a weird way, I wouldn't have thought about those places or going there. But since I'm still in LA, I was thinking, okay, to commemorate him, I'll make an effort to check those places out, because he said one day he was going to talk about it. But, since he's not here, might as well, do it myself, experience it on my own. So, yeah.
Yeah, you might go ahead and experience it, and then you'll be the one to talk about it.
On that note, I think he was really starting to hit on some of the dynamite stuff right towards the end there. The whole information energy and the woo stuff might have rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, but I think a lot of it just came because it was only coming from a single source, and Hugh could rub people the wrong way sometimes, or put something a little bit bluntly, and then it affected someone in a way that it wasn't really meant to. But I would personally really like to continue on with some form of discussion regarding all of that stuff, because I think he was starting to get down to the nuts and bolts of everything right there at the end, and he kind of beat around the bush when it came to the woo, but there's something absolutely there, and there's many different sources for understanding this from other folks who've written about it and talked about it and all that. And so one of the things I think would be beneficial without this central focal point that we've lost, is for some kind of maybe crowdsourcing going into meetings. So some kind of agenda that people could vote on, or suggest topics in preparation for these meetings. It's great to have them be spontaneous and everything, but I frankly don't think that's as possible when you don't have such a self-starter at the center of it. There's just no one that's going to replace him in that regard. No one that can talk for 4 hours straight without taking a breath. So yeah, some kind of, I don't know, maybe at the start of the week on Monday or something, you put up a poll, or, I don't know how Reddit or Discord work really, but if there's some way of making some kind of a poll, where people could suggest topics, and maybe even like suggest books or reading material or something to go over, just in preparation for something, just sort of these supplementary things to fill the void somewhat. I don't know, just my 2 cents.
Maybe it could be a Reddit post every week before the meeting. They give people a week, and it can be an open suggestion. Everyone can get together and suggest something, and then collaborate and vote on what gets prioritized.
Yeah, I think something like that would be great. You don't have to follow these meetings to a T by any means. I think that's detrimental to the flow of conversation. If you have, we're going to talk about this for 10 minutes, then we're going to cut the conversation off. Like let it flow as it does. But if there's a lull or something, or a subject feels like it was exhausted, you could then move to the next point that people had wanted to talk about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Somebody asked for a link. Now, where can we find out about the Discord channel? I don't know how to send a link to the Discord channel. Can Mike or Richard or somebody? I don't know.
Yeah. Let me see.
I'm not sure how to do it.
Let me see if I could do that.
I don't know how you can do this. Right, it's like invite people. Yeah, there's something invite people, but I don't know how you. Is it a link then that comes up? But can we do this?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think
there's a
I
link.
got it.
I found it.
I think I got it. Or
yeah, go ahead.
This one, like send a link by inviting. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. When we started the Desiderata, remember, Sophie, the 12 rules.
Yes.
we started, that was kind of our agenda every week, and we'd
That's
maybe
right.
go up,
That's right.
but we'd never say, oh, we have to go through to this topic. Hugh would kind of, if we felt like we've exhausted that the rule, then we'd move on. But yeah, it's definitely a good idea.
Well, when we
Go up.
started recording the meetings, we started to have it. We had agendas and topics,
No,
but
right.
all the preparation and work was done by you, because we mustn't
Right.
forget it was not just the meetings; it was the amount of work that he was putting into it. Before readings and collecting information and article, everything. So, because he could give a lot of reference when we were meeting afterwards. So we might have to take a bit of that on ourselves now, meaning that before meeting, as you suggested, we could do a bit of work, a bit of digging, and present something of worthwhile at the Sunday meeting on the topic we decided collectively. I wouldn't be very good at the woo stuff and the info energy stuff because it's a whole new world for me, which is fascinating. I'm only reading about this. I think it would be very interesting to try to invite Lionel
Yeah.
if he accepted, because Hugh was very in favor of the format of interview, and interviews are a good way also of we've met a lot around interviews, and I think having somebody to could be a good catalyst, for conversation.
Oh,
So
that, yeah, that's a good idea. So if like we wanted to continue the discussion on woo and information theory, like Lionel would be a great source for him to like be the sort of heart of the conversation, and we all sort of ask him questions and he sort of tells us what he knows. Yeah, that's a good idea.
and I think we should try to think of people also that we could not necessarily every meeting, but interview now and again for helping us a little bit, where people with who Hugh had interactions, and important ones. I know he was talking personally to Lionel, and I think Gary had a long call with him after Hugh passed, but there was other people, and we don't have to stop talking to DGR, I think, because there's a lot to them that I like, and there are people that I want to encourage to. But I think we should think of other people together that we could also bring back again.
Yeah, I don't think there's any such thing as a bad interview. I would keep the list as wide open as possible. Worst case scenario, you have someone who doesn't see eye to eye at all, and then the next week or whenever the next meeting is or whatever, you just talk about everything wrong with, what went wrong with the interview or what's wrong with their perspective or whatever it may be. You'd always get something out of it, no matter what. The worst case scenario is you lose an hour or something of your time, but that's it.
Yeah, I got contacted again by Darren Allen, who didn't
Oh,
really want to. You didn't really want at firstly to talk with you. I think it was a clash of personalities too in that regard. But he's kept the contact. So I was thinking also we could see a little bit what we could talk about, because he's interested at the moment. He wants to do a documentary, and he's quite. I mean, it's somebody maybe to keep also in mind for the ARG, because we had kind of mentioned that in some meetings, and his skills and his creation talents. I mean, we could have a chat with him at a later stage, but it's just somebody I wanted to mention.
I totally agree. I had very high hopes for him. I was kind of surprised how disastrous that particular interview went. But I think it was just because Hugh rubbed him the wrong way sort of from the start, and then he was sort of shut off to being open about it or anything after that. But I always thought, reading him in particular, I just thought I'd never read someone who so was on the same page as just about everything Hugh talks about. I think it just, yeah, there were some wires crossed from the start there, but I think he would be a fantastic resource. And he's maybe not famous, but semi-famous. He's got some resources. He's got some connections and stuff. I think that's a door I would personally definitely vote to keep open as much as possible.
I think he's in contact with Terry Gilliam, the famous person. But I would read you his last email, not the personal thing. I've decided to, get in touch when you please. I've decided to work on a film. A short has to come first, a documentary podcast, and a book of essays. Not sure where the money cash is coming from, but a great man once said, when asked where the money was coming from for another mighty project, it would come from wherever it is at the moment. There you go. So signed Darren. So he's in projects. So he's keeping the contact, and I think we should try to get him.
Yeah. On the same line as Darren, Hugh talked about this person quite a few times. Paul Kingsworth. Would we ever want to? Remember, he talked about that part of the alien cortex. Any thoughts?
I think I had a definite email from Paul that he didn't want to have anything to do with us anymore.
Yeah, and another thing is I think only Hugh would have the skills to talk to Paul Kingsnorth. He's probably the best exorcist I've ever seen.
There is an interesting email that I received, and some of you might have received it actually, who talks about PK, Paul Kingsnorth, in it. And it's my feeling. I met him personally, and I've seen his kind of descent into hell there. So I don't think we want to go, and I've openly told him that we were anti-Christian. Maybe I shouldn't have. And I thought the debate would have been on the machine and transhumanism, but we couldn't go into that conversation with him without stating our position on religion. And that really rubbed him the wrong way. And he got there was an exchange of emails a few months ago that was absolutely cruel. To me, actually, it was horrible. And then he apologized. But he apologized. He said it was not very Christian. So anyway, I don't think he holds anything personal against me, but I think we should leave him where he is at the moment, and maybe let him follow his Christian descent, and we never know, he might, something might happen. But I don't think at this stage of the game it would be a bit of a waste of time, honestly.
Okay.
But that's my opinion, but maybe you want to try to contact Paul. I'm just saying that because I had a heated exchange with him at the end, but I don't hold it against him. I just told him I was sorry that he had gone down the shortcut on the cul-de-sac of religion, but he didn't, he doesn't see it like that. He's been called, and he's into, something important to him. So
yeah, I was just thinking of maybe down the line if anyone becomes experts in exorcisms and taking on that challenge. Yeah, that he could be a good person to talk to. But of course, that's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I think it might that I can't remember who linked or put that Looney Tunes video on Extinctionati. Is that one where Coyote paints that tunnel and Roadrunner just goes right through it, and then when he tries to go, he just hits it. I think that's basically what happens when. I think that's basically Paul Kingsnorth. He was getting there, and then he got stopped by the woo.
Yeah, just because Hugh mentioned he even though he had his views about him, he did say that he was self-aware, like he was, he had it in him to be enlightened, and he just got taken away by Christianity, religion. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah, that can happen. I met somebody recently who was like that. Like they went full nihilism, and they say that basically life is terrible because they're suffering. And you can, I don't think it's like a dark cloud or something like Wicked. They just see the suffering, and then it's that compassion that's making them come to this conclusion. It's like you're fixating on, it's a glass half empty, half full situation. You're fixating on one, you won't move the frame of reference, and so they get stuck. It's just like how I think Paul Kingsnorth on his journey saw Christianity and, got stuck and he couldn't make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, there's a lot of pitfalls down the road. That's why you have to walk on the razor's edge, right? Stay on the straight path.
Exactly.
Most people don't. They get waylaid.
But that's why I think we need to keep these meetings a lot oriented towards psychological preparation, like we have done from the start, and learning humbly to avoid the pitfalls and, the traps that are around us, because we are free and we want to remain free. And that's what's one of the great thing I miss about Hugh.
Yeah, I totally agree. The psychology is everything, and that's what Hugh was getting at a lot more openly towards the end. Everything he was doing ever since the very start was to try to break down people's alien cortexes, and he went about that in all kinds of different ways. A lot of it was explaining something as literal when it was meant to be metaphorical, but always with that end goal in mind of breaking people down or breaking their alien cortex down. But yeah, it's all psychology. Everything is. The very reality you experience every single day is just the reality you're projecting. And yeah, I think focusing on that is of the utmost importance. Yeah, I totally agree with Sophie. It's so easy to get lost in some of the literal physical stuff here and there. How many truckers were really in Ottawa, or how many icebergs fell off yesterday, or whatever. But yeah, the deeper stuff is the actual important stuff. It's always good to come back to that all the time. The physical stuff is really just there to keep your alien cortex at bay. It's still good to talk about because of that purpose that it serves, but always important to not lose sight of that at the end of the day, that's what it's for. And yeah.
Well, Bob, not long ago, Bob Joe, whatever, because this is not going to be public, had started to, not revive, but create a little Discord thing on meditation, because we were talking about it among, I don't know, a few of us, and we just wanted to, it was not anything formal, but it was just a bit to exchange things on this. And I think at this time where we're all kind of feeling bizarre and where are we going and everything, we mustn't lose track of that too, because the way Hugh was talking about meditation was extremely interesting. And he always said to be your own guru, and I don't believe in meditation as a way of coping at all. But I was just starting to get there a bit with him, and I had quite a few personal talks about that with him, because I just always need to understand a bit more behind what's going on. And yeah, it was just cut short there. But maybe we could also talk about this, because, well, you can't talk about meditation, you just do it. But we can exchange a little bit around that without going into too many specifics. But I think we mustn't. It's part of the preparation. It's part of what you're saying in psychology. It's everything comes back to there. It starts there.
So what I did when I was learning from Hugh about meditation is I didn't really ask him any straightforward questions. I just followed the instructions in the video. But you have to be careful. The main thing you got to be careful is you cannot be thinking about a destination. You just do it, right? You just follow what he said in the video, what to do, like all the physiology and stuff, but you don't want to be thinking about a destination. I think that's the thing. That's where people get lost. They start thinking about the destination. It's like, no, that's the main thing that I want to caution people. You don't want to start thinking about a destination, because then you'll end up like Paul Kingsnorth.
Yeah, you're already there. It's just to find out where you are again, maybe, more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no expert, but the thing that helps me when I do that is to think of it as just asking an open-ended question without even phrasing a question. It's very, very hard to explain because it's your alien cortex that comes up with language and everything, and it's, kind of insane. So I can't specifically put it into words, but it's, you think I'm supposed to be doing this, or I'm supposed to be looking at this, or my spine's supposed to be this way, or this, that, or the other thing, or I'm supposed to be breaking down my alien cortex or whatever.